But I think it's a good segue right? I think this is a good segue into a question I have for you. This whole idea of government interference. Would stopping government funding for universities decrease the cost of college tuition?
All right, so we are going back to affirmative action. I don't know what the fuck would fix college pricing, but I do think government involvement definitely caused it. Like, more government was willing to give, say, loans. Like the more money that the government will lend out, why wouldn't the colleges up their tuition, which you've clearly seen, and disgusting how high fucking prices have gotten for a lot of these universities.
Yep.
And a lot of people like to blame, I hear the NCAA get some blame for it. I can see why, but I just feel like the incentive to make it cost more money is too big. Like, it's such a money maker. It's like a casino. Everyone can make money on it except Trump.
I was not expecting
that. It just came to me. Trump college, Trump. I wonder how Trump's steaks were.
That'd be a great video. Trying all of Trump shit. I mean,
you could try the Trump planes.
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, you're right. I mean, I'm not an expert on the history of government funding, but I think the idea of government funding, is usually it's usually for like a grant, like a scientific grant. Like it's very costly to do research, So the idea is the government will supply you money so that you can conduct research on. I mean, God knows there's so many things you can research out there, medically, scientifically, chemically, whatever. But I'm not 100% sure how this government funding works, but the idea is that these universities get so much money, and then they pass on that cost to its students, and then they have these bloated budgets. I mean, all of us who've been to university, how many departments or administrators are so unnecessary? Or they use the money to build a new building, And this idea, it goes back to this idea of competition. And you talked about incentivization, where if I'm, as a company, getting a bunch of free money, like we're all guilty of, if I have a bunch of free money, I'm going to probably spend it on a bunch of dumb shit. Ryan, can you testify to that?
I have no clue what you're talking about. The last half year, I've done nothing but work, and not spend money.
Yes, but if you had a lot of money.
I've worked the past month. Besides that, I've been laid off since March. And I'm making good money not working. Better money than I am now.
True. But if you were getting a bunch of free money, would you spend it on dumb shit? If you were getting big ass grants from the US?
Exclusively dumb shit.
I'd
starve to, that's how it goes. I'll cereal for the week just so I can get this stupid fucking thing.
So
yeah, I spend my money on stupid shit when I don't have a lot of money.
Right. And that's just the point I'm trying to make is, that's why capitalism can be a good thing, because this competition weeds out some of these, I think that's the argument, is that with this money that came from the government ended up just bloating the budgets of these universities. And then because they kept getting free money with no threat of severance, they are incentivized to keep making these budgets bigger and pass it on to their students, because why not? But if you cut off that funding, then they're like, oh shit, we can't keep spending money on this, this, and this. We need to make sure that students want to come here.
Yeah, and like, say they get like half of the tuition off from government grants or FAFSA, whatever it is, and you take out the loan for the other half. At 18, you definitely didn't learn this shit in school, unless you really good school you went to. I didn't learn shit about loans. I learned the good old hard way.
The worst way.
Yeah. Like, the things you can do at 18 but can't do at 18 blow my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I could sign my name here for $100,000. I don't have a single credit card or anything, but you're gonna give me this money because you think I'm gonna do good in school. That's a very high number. Let's say $20,000 for the year. And up until high school, all the time I've worked, I've maybe made $2,000 in my life.
Right.
Well, with PK, I guess I probably pushed it up higher, a lot higher. PK was a good job, money-wise. Jesus, can't believe I said that.
I'm editing that part out.
PK was not a good job.
I'm just gonna edit. PK was a good job and edit and take everything else out.
Oh, fuck you. It's just too easy to make that price high, and like if you had the grades to get into the school, like, I could not wait to go to college. Like, that was one of the things my dad always said, like, to try and get me inspired to go to, like, get better at school. He's like, you know, you're not going to fucking Notre Dame college, not the high school. Fuck the Dons. He's like, you're not gonna get into Notre Dame with these fucking grades, man. Like, fuck, I really gotta. Every year I'd be like, all right, this is the year I do the homework. But every year they came out with a better video game, and it's like, next year.
I just wish this was a question. Fuck, I don't want to hear about healthcare anymore. I want to hear about this. Like, let's ask those politicians up there. Well, I mean, Bernie, yes, but like more productive ways, because all I hear about is government action. Like, sometimes maybe the government needs to take a step back. Like, we complain about the limited government shit, but now the U.S. government is the largest employer in the United States. Like 2.5 million people work for the U.S. government, if not more. Like, it's not limited anymore. It's not a limited government, and we need to take more steps. So maybe it's time for certain things to be. The government needs to take a step back on. We always hear about more and more and more and more. Maybe less, less, and less and less is the answer sometimes. But I never hear less, less, and less and less, you know?
Now, I'm just spitballing. What if you make that argument for, like, school-wise, like, you know, I could see people making that argument for the EPA. Like, if the government is so bad at making these big decisions, why are you going to stop companies that, like, you know, energy has been, it's a very big industry economically. Come wartime, which I hope we don't have to worry about, that's definitely a source you need. And we are capable of being energy independent. We haven't been until recent years, and there's a pros and cons to that. Like what steps are we taking to be energy independent, and what concessions do we have to make to our own health or planetary health to reach that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I guess it falls back to the question of what is the government's responsibility to its people? Like, what is its responsibility? You know, and based on that question, you know, I look at it as they're responsible for the public safety of its population. And when it comes to the environment, I think there's no question that companies will not make decisions based on the public safety of where they're operating. So the government needs to step in and say, if you're not going to, we're going to punish you or shut you down. I think that's a big difference between making decisions on education and making a decision on shit related to the environment.
No, that's fair.
You know?
I mean, just 100 years ago, I feel like that's when the first like environmental like protection plans really went into effect, like trying to stop all these factories from polluting. I very well could be wrong on the time frame for that. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm going into the fridge for another beer. Oh yeah, Busch Light.
Scumbag.
Oh man, this might be my favorite beer to go with for cheese dip. I'm telling you, man. Like cheese dip and beer is like cheese dip is the best thing to go with when you're drinking beer. Really, because just look at the difference we've had, like, let's say in the last 100 years, like, I don't think any factories or, like, any of these big corporations had, like, these environmental guidelines to follow. It started off as guidelines. I think now they're, like, laws, and you get shut down for it. And looking at late 1800s or early 1900s, was that our second industrial boom around then, right?
No idea.
Or I think that's the term they called it. I only learned it 8 times in fucking grade school. But I don't feel like they had those guidelines. Like walking in New York City or Chicago would be like walking through a smog alert in Beijing.
I mean,
I feel like that shit was everyday life in industrial cities in early 1900s, late 1800s in America.
I mean, you're right. Like,
or present-day Pittsburgh.
How all those labor laws came into place, right? Like, they were there to protect children and workers because they were working in horrible conditions.
So maybe it's not so much about government action, that maybe if we just took the money incentive out of government, let's just take the fucking money incentive out of everything. They'll fix it. Yeah. But first, money incentive out of government.
Yeah. Like when the government is giving money, like, you know, that's the problem with, we saw in Ferguson with the police department there, like they were incentivized due to money. That's how the police officers act. It's the same thing with these universities. They're incentivized to act very freely. And because there's no punishment, like if the government said, okay, if you need to decrease the cost of tuition by half for students, if you want to keep your money that we're giving you, something like this. It can't be so free with there needs to be more proper guidelines on how this money is given. Because
you know none of the salaries are going to get cut of the top people. It's going to be programs for the people paying the tuition.
Right. So I don't know exactly how that is, but like, I'm not saying, like, yes, we should spend money on education, and government has a large responsibility because we give money as taxes so that we have public schools and roads and stuff like that. I'm not saying cut money to education, but when it comes to universities specifically, why is public universities so different from public high schools?
Right. And I feel like the first 2 or 3 years of your college experience should be high school. And high school, I feel like you could fit into the 8 pointless years of grade school.
Yeah.
Like by college, you should know. I mean, a lot of people know in the general area where they want to go in college, but people change a major all the fucking time.
And it's a waste of time.
Like, right. It like by college, you should be like, you should know. Like, you shouldn't be paying an extra $5,000 a semester to be taking mandatory. I gotta pay $2,000 for fucking gym class. I had an older dickhead brother. I don't need to learn how to do weightlifting, okay? I know it may not look like it, but I wouldn't take back the college experience. I probably would make the same mistake again, knowing what I know now. I'd still probably be like, fuck it, I'm still getting out of this house. I don't care.
Well, that's the big differences, right? Like I don't think anybody disagrees that college is bad. It's just that people are now saying college is bad because of how expensive it is. Like our parents, everybody's parents went to school at a time where it was so affordable. Now I shouldn't make a decision whether or not I go to college because of how fucking expensive, not Yale or Harvard are, but the local fucking.
This just might be me, but I feel like I never really heard these arguments until I was in college. I was like, oh shit, when I was in high school, all I ever heard is, oh, you gotta go to college. And when I was in college, it's like everyone's talking about how fucking expensive and no one's can pay their loans. Like, why the fuck you guys talk me into this? I was getting drunk at home. Why I have to come out here? These people give me tickets.
Well,
they're not nice.
And this is why, like in Europe, I wish I did this, but in Europe, it's very customary for the kids to do 1 year of volunteering. You know, like I wish we pushed that more. Like you don't ever hear about that option. Do 1 year of volunteering or 1 year of work.
Volunteering?
Yeah, like in places in Europe, not in Poland, but like Germany, UK, France. Like that's you'll run into a lot of 19-year-old students or 19-year-old kids everywhere that are just doing a year of volunteering. And it completely would change your perspective on everything, on like what you want to do. You grow up, you get mature a little bit more, everything. And you're like freshman year is a waste of time in college. Let's be real.
Classes was a good year.
Classes wise.
Yeah, that was my best year.
All right, fair enough.
I was on the fucking honor roll, man. Besides the fucking botany 305 that my dump. I told you that story, right?
Are the people going to hear this story?
Very first class I took, like I went to at Western. Yeah, fuck it. This is how stupid some, like at Western, like, they had like these advisors, like just advising groups of people at times. Like they just look over his shoulder, but yeah, it's a good transcript, press submit, and they'll be your schedule for the year. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Said I have to take a science class. They're all filled. The botany 305 is available. 8 o'clock. I can wake up. Okay. I didn't find out that 305 was, the level of it because, never did college. So first day of college, I'm psyched and I'm going to get this shit. I'm going to make something of myself. And I get in there, they just go straight into it. Like, whoa. Like, everyone here knows this shit already? Like, I'm looking around for the confused looks, and I'm the only asshole that is like, what's this guy talking about? Because I fucking hated science classes. Grade school and high school was least favorite shit. Now a little more interesting. But, yes. Oh man, that was the biggest shell shock. And God knows how much that bitch made. A terrible counselor.
I can't believe you. I know, like this. You're making the exact argument about why these universities should not be receiving money when your fucking counselor recommends you for botany 305.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say fuck that school. Fuck that town. A little bit that school.
We'll do an episode about doing a road trip back there, back to memory lane.
Oh man, I specifically want to go back there just for this chicken place.
And we can interview your old counselor.
I wouldn't know her name. I might be able to find her. It's for computer science. Yeah, let's let the fucking guy take botany 305 before he actually takes a computer class. Brilliant.